Welcome to Twin City Talk. Today we are talking with Christy Bellis from the Go-To Winston. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So I love your site, by the way. I'm a huge fan. I love the social posts, the emails. Like, you guys are so tuned in. So
Thank you.
just tell me a little bit about how you started that.
Yeah, well, it started as an accident, like all good things. I moved here in 2020 in the height of COVID and was actually looking for a new place to get married. So my husband and I were supposed to get married in May. We had to push that back to September, but we were planning on living in Winston, but I was living in Charlotte. But then come May, I didn't have a place to live. I didn't have a job anymore in Charlotte. And so I moved to Winston and lived with a family friend until we got married in September, but was looking for a job and a new wedding venue that we could get, that we could have our whole family and not pick sisters. And through that process, I fell in love with Winston. I fell in love with the hidden gems, and I just thought that at that time no one was highlighting Winston in a modern way, an easy to consume way. And so I started a Finsta account, fake Instagram account, for myself, purely so that I would remember places that I went during COVID, so that when friends and family came to visit, I would know where to take them and remember where to take them. And then that I started, really enjoying that and started looking for ways to expand that, and learned all about newsletters, which is really the core of our business, is our newsletter, and how important a newsletter is, and why, you own a newsletter as opposed to you don't own your social media following and all that stuff. And so in December of 2020, I started a newsletter, and then it just kind of took off from there.
You have a great following.
Thank you.
It's well deserved.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there anything fun you're about to post about soon?
So that's the fun thing. Most people, plan their social posts. We don't. I have kind of a queue of things that I can talk about, that caption's already ready and things like that. But since we live here, we kind of, we're not going to post about a really pretty winery if all of a sudden it starts storming. We're not going to plan a post if all of a sudden, there's this breaking news that this restaurant decided to open tonight. So we don't play anything. So, today we're either posting about Rayson's new bistro that opened this past weekend, or we're talking about Lolo's Bistro. Hey, they're both bistros. That's funny. Lolo's Bistro that opened 3 weeks ago.
Have you had it?
I personally have not. I did go to Rayson. I usually don't go to the places. Our contractors go to the places, but I went to Rayson. So we're either talking about that or something from our newsletter last night, if it did really, really well.
So you said you fell in love with Winston. So
Yes.
What do you love, or what did you fall in love with?
Yeah, so I've lived in large cities my whole life. I'm from right outside of D.C. I went to Chapel Hill, go Tar Heels, and then I lived in Charlotte for 2 years. And so, I know how to parallel park, because that's just what you did in DC and Chapel Hill and Charlotte. And there's just no parking anywhere. And I know that's like a hot topic, because in Winston people feel like there is no parking, but just live in DC for a few years and you'll be really grateful for Winston-Salem. And so when I moved to Winston, were we married? Fiance at that time went to Wiseman Brewery, and we parked 3 streets away, because that's just what you do. And we walked up, and I stopped in my tracks, and I said, oh my gosh, there's a parking lot for this brewery. This is insane. I love this place. And so long were the days where I parked 4 streets away. But
So parking is what got you
parking
to work.
is why
That's
I thought,
what it was.
Yeah, the Go-To Winston started because of parking.
The thing that most people complain about, you found the draw.
And yes, I know it's changed, and there's lots of new policies coming, and there's that whole parking thing that's happening right now with downtown Winston-Salem. But parking and the fact that you can go somewhere, meet someone new, and see someone you know. Remember when you're like looking at colleges, and it was always like, the perfect size college is the one where you can walk to class, wave at friends, but then also meet someone new. That's Winston. Every time we go out, we not like go out, like walk around, not like go out to the bars. Go out, we see people we know, we see people we don't know, and it's just the perfect small town vibe.
Right. Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what draws a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's that unexpected charm that you get. No matter where you go in town, there's a little flavor of it. All
Especially
over.
at the Remedy.
There's that for sure. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, I do
That's
love
the place
that.
I always see everyone. I'm like, I can't, if I need to focus down, I can't go to the Remedy. If I want to socialize and need some, get my extrovert out, I go to the Remedy.
Let's go to the loft.
Yeah.
You can go to the loft.
Go to the loft, hide out. You're
That's right,
right.
you can go to the
I need
loft.
to take advantage
There's,
of the loft.
there's always
more.
that as an option. I was in there last night, and there was this. It was great. I wish I could have gotten a picture of it. This girl. It was probably, I don't know, 8:30 at night, completely sprawled out on one of the couches in the loft. It was great. Had her laptop up, had her coffee over here, had a blanket. I mean,
Ooh.
laid out on the couch. It was like her living room. And
Was
it
the
was beautiful.
fireplace on the TV?
It was not.
You should've turned that on
that
for
was a
her.
miss. I know. I should have said, "Can I get you to do your own background music,
Yeah.
light a candle,
Yeah.
something?" But it was perfect. I just kind of cocked my head at it for a second, but it's perfect. Anyway, yeah. So you can do that in the loft.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you'd like to see in Winston's future?
Like to see.
Any changes?
I mean, there's definitely I just went through leadership Winston-Salem, so there's lots of changes, but
Don't mess this up.
yeah, no, I'm not going to talk about that because this is a fun podcast. But no, I mean, I honestly think there's so much changing and so many new places that are opening up that it's hard to even think about what I would like to see because so many things are happening. But I do wish that I feel like there's this tendency for everyone to get excited about the new place in town. And I mean, I'm guilty of it because that's what people want to know. And that's what, honestly,
That's your job.
yeah, that is my job. Thank you. It was what performs well. And I, want to educate everyone on what's opening up and get the scoop before anyone else knows. But there are so many places that have been here forever that are so great. And I think the first year to 2 years of business are so important for a new restaurant or a new coffee shop or a new bar. And I wish that we had more of a success rate, I think, for that. I don't know, I don't know the stats or anything like that, but it's just so sad to see, all this hype about this business. And then a year and a half later, they're like, we have to close down. So I don't know what that actually is, but
Can I
True.
pick your brain about the grounds?
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to pick your brain about because I don't know the questions to ask. But I figured if anybody knew more than somebody else, it would be you. I did a little bit of digging into it and talked to Alan about it and Joins a bit.
Yeah.
But, that thing went from nobody knew anything, at least to my knowledge, it was a whisper at best, to there's this giant sign up and 5 city blocks are
Yeah.
being transformed.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, I don't think the mayor definitely knows more than I do.
We talked a little about it when we talked to him, but yeah.
But what I do know is, I moved in 2020, so I know there's been this long history of something's going to come there, and it kept failing. They kept not having money, and I remember they announced something was happening about this time last year. And I remember talking to people and they would be like, oh, Christy, you're so naive. Like nothing's actually going to happen. This is just them, you know, all this talk again and stuff. And I was like, oh, well, like, you know, my sources tell me it's really going to happen, you know, and they're like, okay. And then it happened and I'm like, this is awesome. And they, you know, have the funding and all that stuff. And so I think it's really awesome. I think it's really going to transform that area. I mean, it's just crazy. I remember looking at colleges and touring Wake Forest and being like, so this is where the football and basketball stadium are? Like, there's nothing over here. And that's honestly one of the reasons why I didn't go to Wake Forest is, you know, it's so separated and I'm a big sports girl. And so that was a huge drawing point, or lack of drawing point. So
Well, and Keenan is in the middle of campus, so that's kind of hard to compete with when it's 50 yards away.
yes,
But
I
yeah,
lived about like I could see the Dean Dome from my freshman dorm.
Did you play sports?
I grew up playing basketball, but not in college. Yeah.
yeah. What I keep wondering about is it clearly it's designed for everyone, so it's not like there's anybody specific in mind. But I keep wondering if it's designed to proliferate more of Wake, if it's more geared towards the students and them having an alternate to say Renolda Gardens or whatever that's, you know, walkable, kind of, sort of. You got to cross university there, but is it more towards that, or is it just, you know, all for the city? And I mean, maybe you don't know, but I keep wondering if that's intentional for, I mean, obviously it's part of D-Town and all of that, but I keep wondering if Wake is planning to expand because the college itself, because now they're downtown and the campus keeps growing outside of its original footprint. And then they're doing this, and I keep thinking, you know, this would be such a great opportunity for them to grow, you know, a few more thousand students or whatever. Maybe they have no intention, don't need to.
Yeah.
But I wondered about that.
Well, I mean, and they, like the medical school moved to Charlotte, right? Or they opened a campus.
I think they have a campus there.
They have a campus in Charlotte. I mean,
Business
obviously
building on
that's what
campus is huge and beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that's what it would be naive to think not, because that's where the money is coming from. Like there has to be, you know, something in it for themselves. Obviously, like no judgment there. Like, hey, that's awesome that you're doing it. It has to be partly for Wake. But I also think just in terms of so many people, you know, we have to look outside of like just for football, and there's like the Coliseum and then there's the fairgrounds. And we have like some pretty big name people that come to the Coliseum. I mean, I'm in like all these Facebook groups, and actually y'all should get on Reddit. It's actually really big in Winston. And people are always like, hey, coming to Winston-Salem for this concert or this, you know, comedy act, like where's there to eat near the Coliseum? And, you know, hey, putters till I die, but
Right.
that's kind of it.
I love that you just recommended that we get on Reddit.
So
Reddit is this
with
rabbit
our
hole.
newsletter, we had, so, you know, you can see like who clicks what. And there's this one guy who was getting like clicked on every link like 600 times. And I'm like, okay, this is a bot, like, or something's going on. So I actually reached out to him and I was like, hey, like, are you real? Because if not, I'm going to delete you and all this stuff. And he was like, oh, actually, I've been sharing your newsletter to Reddit for the last year and a half. And he copies it from his email. So then any click in Reddit is linked to his email.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my goodness, this is huge. And then so like I created a Reddit account like for the Go-To and was like, hey guys, if you like this, you should sign up for the newsletter directly. And so it's a huge lead generator.
So you just jump into Reddit under what category to find all of
I'm
this
just
stuff?
in the Winston. I don't even know how it works. What is it called? Subreddit? I don't know. I'm in the Winston-Salem one.
Subreddit.
That's it.
That's just past my generation knowledge there. That's why I hire marketing people to look into that stuff for me.
Well, have someone look into it. But have Suzy look into it. I mean, I'm just in the Winston-Salem one. I don't even know how to venture out of the Winston-Salem one.
It's probably safer if you don't.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
might.
Thank
I
you.
wouldn't recommend it.
Bring a survival kit.
But yeah, I don't even remember what we were talking about for that. The grounds.
Just the grounds.
Yeah, I think that's obviously the main goal is for Wake, but I think it's going to have, ripple effect. I mean, a lot of Wake people were upset because they had to take away, oh my goodness, people are going to be upset at me for forgetting the name. The bar.
Oh, I was going to say what was Ziggy's, right? What's it
What
called?
was Corbin's at one time?
Yeah, Ziggy's, Corbin's,
Yeah.
a number
Okay,
of
but
other
what
things.
is now?
That, yeah, that.
Last
That.
resort.
There it is.
Last year,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe
people
they'll have a
were
new home.
So upset about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited.
I
Yeah.
feel like it'll have a lot of things too. So I imagine
Yeah.
even if they're not planning to, it should appeal to a lot of people.
I think also, this is not the reason why they're doing this whole, I don't even know, $1 billion thing, but there's going to be a walkway from it over University, I think. Don't quote me on that. To the campus.
Yeah.
Because right now, people are just like having to cross University where there's no
Yeah.
crosswalk
6
to get
lanes
to their
of traffic.
home, to their homes that they're renting. But one thing that's interesting is so the strollway, I don't know if y'all heard 4 months ago. Honestly, it's probably 6. I'm really bad with time. It could be last week. Who knew? They are expanding the Long Branch strollway past Tucker's to like 4 blocks away from where the grounds are going to be. And I was like, is there any chance that y'all are connecting it? Because that just makes
Wink.
too much
Wink.
sense.
Maybe connect those things.
And they said there are no plans currently. But how cool would that be that you could walk from Wake literally to downtown?
Yeah.
So,
And a really cool walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great strollway.
yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
So it's going to go right by the railroad. I think it's stopping on. If I pull up my article that I wrote on it, I can find out, but I'll do that later. But yeah, so it's going to stop like 3 blocks, 4 blocks away. It won't connect to the fairgrounds. But I'm like,
Yeah.
come
That would be great.
together.
Right now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I just kept thinking about it can't simply be designed for football season and or basketball and that kind of stuff. It needs to be something that is doing really well year round because it would just be, there's a huge complex they're building. So yeah. And I would think they would have to be building a footbridge over University.
They
or something.
are. Yes.
Yeah, they have to.
I don't know
They have
exactly
to be.
where, but
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah. That's a much needed thing kind of regardless.
Yeah.
Football games, and to your point, housing, all that. Yeah. Because walking across that bridge in the middle of the night up there, I don't think that's advisable.
Yeah.
So,
And with Whitaker Park. Y'all know about Whitaker Park?
what about it?
Well, like it exists.
Yes.
We'll start there. So I got a tour of Whitaker Lofts a month ago. And that was when it was like right when the grounds were announced, right when the strollway expansion was announced. And so you'll be able to walk from there to the grounds. So it's just going to be this whole new area. That's exciting.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool. I love all the things that are happening with this town. You keep seeing different pockets kind of come up, and as downtown continues to expand and more people keep coming and the city keeps getting more highly rated, I just love that people aren't resting on that and going, okay, great, we're doing great, so let's just let it be that. They keep thinking, okay, well, let's see how we can expand that. Let's see how we can not just capitalize on that, but give all the people that are coming here something more to look forward to that it integrates the different parts of town. I think that's fantastic. It's super cool to see because, it's, to your point, when you visited and the things you fell in love with, there are so many things to love about this town. And so watching all that happen the way it is, when I saw that come up with the grounds, I thought, oh, if that could unite Wake, that part of town to downtown, that could be so great. So yeah, crazy excited about that, and everything that's going down Patterson too, and as that continues to go that way too.
Yeah, and phase 2 of Innovation Quarter. I mean, man,
That's all the stuff next to the highway, right?
We never lack anything to talk about, except in January. January is really hard to talk about things.
I'll build something in January.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you have something to talk about.
Appreciate it.
I mean, it'll probably be like
if you
a
are
shed in my
listening
backyard.
and
But
you're waiting to open a restaurant,
Do it in January.
open it in January.
So remind people again how they can find out about your business.
You can Google the Go-To Winston-Salem. You can search on Instagram. You can search on Facebook.
And make sure you sign up for their newsletter.
Yes, the newsletter. Oh, my favorite.
yeah, you're
thing.
missing out. You're missing out if you're not.
They
you're
are
not on
tuned
it,
in.
You're
It's
missing out.
literally where you find everything.
Yeah, and it's not. It's more than just the way that or the fact that the information is there. It's the way that you lay it out. Yeah, the layout's great. So you get all the different information in the chunks. That's super informative. So yeah, I love the way.
Gotta
you
give
guys set
credit
up.
to where credit's due. Our staff writer, Jacob, he's the best. He writes every newsletter.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Thank you, Jacob.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And you can find us on TwinCityTalk.com or Instagram and Facebook. Thank you. The views and opinions portrayed by guests on this podcast are not necessarily those of the distributors and hosting companies. And if you love this podcast, that's great, but don't think about stealing it. Reach out to us and talk about the content because it is copyrighted.